Good morning, everyone. Coming at you Friday morning again. We're a little late, but
yeah. Sorry,
hey,
guys.
Hey, Michael.
Here we are. Good morning.
Hey, hello. Hey, guys. How's everyone?
It's
Great.
good. It's a little chilly out this morning. A little cool.
Yeah.
Feel winter around the corner, but
Yeah,
It's coming.
it is. We got still drunk wasps eating fermented crab apples in our backyard.
oh yeah. And the squirrels.
Squirrels. The squirrels are fine, but the wasps are annoying. Anyways. Yeah.
Right.
Okay. Well, we're going to skip the market stats today. We're a little bit tight on time. We're going to skip the market stats. Want to talk about a little bit about AI.
What about just in generalities, like market better, worse, the same, quick,
tough? Market's tough.
Yeah,
same.
Feeling the same way. Still tight, still tough for buyers. Active for sellers, busy for sellers.
Yeah.
Okay.
And also, actually, I want to make a quick point about that. Just sorry. It still is meaningful to ensure that you price your house correctly, because even in this crazy tight market, every once in a while we see like really overpriced listings, and they still sit on the market. Like,
yeah.
So it's just people. Like, yes, we're here to ensure that our sellers maximize the price, but this is like a freaking mantra that we repeat all the time. Like, the quickest way from point A to point B being like the maximized selling price, is sometimes counterintuitive. It's not listing it for even higher than what you hope to sell it for,
and then thinking, we'll still get if the value is 700, going in lower, you'll get to 700, but not going to 725 and thinking you'll get offers land at 700 or maybe a little bit better.
Yeah,
it is better to go low or be right on. I think because it is so tight, buyers see everything, despite how quickly it might be on the market. And they're well educated. You can't fool them. There's no fooling the buyers.
Not really, no. Anyways, I'm sorry. I don't mean to get sidetracked with that. But anyways, Dan, Michael, what are we talking about today?
So we wanted to just, think about AI a little bit. We're not AI gurus here, but where do we see AI having the biggest impact in real estate? And at the rate that it's changing, it's hard to predict that far out. But let's say in the next 6 months, where do you guys feel? Maybe we as agents feel an impact. Maybe the consumer, where they feel an impact. The industry in general, how is AI going to impact real estate in the next little while? And
I think it's already out there, certainly as an evaluation tool. I think that Zillow or some of the other large aggregators are certainly using some form of AI to give you like a quick desktop or a quick and dirty home evaluation.
Mm-hmm.
Even if it is just averages and they're taking like beds and baths and all that kind of stuff, and not doing any sort of fine tuning or tweaking based on some subjective attributes of the home or location or whatever. But I think that in that one sense, it's definitely out there. And I would see that moving forward is certainly in the business at large, more tools being developed or coming forward for evaluations. That's one place I think I see it for sure. I know one place that we have used it a little bit is occasionally you get a bit of writer's block when you're coming up with either the write for a listing, or if we're doing a video and are trying to come up with a script for a video. And I would say that based on my experience, and we'll just probably harp on this a little bit as disclaimers, we are not like prompt engineers by any means, or heavy AI users, but what I've seen so far is that it's garbage in, garbage out. So if you say like, write a script for this thing, what you'll get is a very AI sounding script for whatever thing you ask for. So you either have to be very good about putting in the prompts or taking the prompt that you get and then working with it and using that just to give you some momentum to get you going. So I think that's where I've used it so far. And that's where I think I see it being used. What about Michael? What about you?
Yeah, I mean, like when ChatGPT first came out, I think within the first month or two, I think some of the more technologically adventurous people in the industry started dabbling with it, like, probably in the first few weeks, with respect to like writing a listing description and whatnot, just to sort of test out the system. And it's progressively gotten better. But what I do find is like ChatGPT spits out things with such confidence, and also like it misses the mark, and like you've got to be really careful with it. So like, like it can, so when we type in something into ChatGPT, we've used it a few times, with some of our listings, and it's kind of nice to create some thoughts for a rough draft, the first rough draft. But at the end of the day, it's still, it absolutely has to be us that tailor makes, like if we've used like, maybe 30% of what ChatGPT wrote, it's more like some grammatical sentences, and a bit just like kind of we just take little bits and pieces. Does that make sense, Mike and Dan? Like, that's kind of how I felt I've used it a little bit.
It's totally, yeah. It does sometimes. It feels like it's missing some nuance and context, right? Like you're asking it to write a property description for a 3-bedroom house in a new community, and it's like, welcome to this great community full of green space, and you're like, well, I guess, like, okay, that's not the first thing that I would think of for that new community, for example.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's often, it's the push in the right direction to get the creative juices flowing.
Yeah. I think other case or use cases, I guess, would be I just coming back, it kind of helps you with writer's block. Like if you're just sort of like having you're stumped for like, actually like starting a paragraph about a concept or whatever, like, so separated from, apart from like listing descriptions, we've kind of like dabbled in, like, how can you use it to kind of like create a fact section, FAQ section, and still like it spits out some pretty meaningful stuff, but you really have to edit it, and you have to like watch it carefully.
That's a good point. I mean, if your starting point is something that's already constructed, and you can ask ChatGPT to tailor it for an audience, you can ask it to
optimize it for something.
SEO, things like that, for sure.
Yeah.
So I wanted to talk about the industry a little bit, right? So I think that the industry in the next 6 months, I think we're going to see agents appearing as teams, or working, maybe performing the workload of a team is more the way to look at it, through the use of AI. So I think that, a single agent is going to be able to look like they're doing the work of 3 or 4 agents, because if they are smart about how they use AI and where they implement it, and being strategic that way, just taking that, if there's a 2-hour block of work that's involved in, say, editing a video, and using an AI tool to chop that long form video up into 19 segments that can be used as clips on Instagram or whatever, right? Like that's a lot of work that you can just get a machine to do. And I don't think there's a risk of AI replacing agents, but I think that AI will supplement agents to the point where the people that ignore it are going to get left behind.
Yeah.
I think that's what we're going to see, and maybe that's not 6 months out. That might be a couple years. But yeah, I think that it's a tool, and it's like if you ignored Google 15 years ago and just said, I don't think it's a thing. I don't think it's
a fad.
It's a fad. And now if you're ignorant to Google, and if you're not appearing in Google searches, as an example, that's just that's 101 basic stuff today.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's kind of at a high level where it's going to go.
Yeah.
So video is one thing. Writing is another thing that is time consuming and can be optimized. Generating emails, monthly newsletters.
Yeah.
Even crafting videos. I mean, it's not quite deep fakes, but taking your voice and crafting a message to somebody. And I shouldn't say to somebody, to tens or hundreds or thousands of people.
Yeah.
That sounds customized, but it's generated, right? So that's the kind of stuff where I think you can really put the machine to work.
Yeah. I think like always with the caveat that like everything that is created is just, it's helping you with kind of like a rough draft or an outline, like because at the end of the day, like it still requires us to then take a look at what has been generated and to say, okay, that's mostly right, and sort of like ensure that it's kind of a message conveyed, communicated within our voice, like using our voice and actually accurate, and in context and meaningful. So I think that's
the next iteration, right? I think it's Chat GPT-4. You can put in context and say, this is my voice. Like this series of emails, this is how I write them. So make it sound like me.
That's fascinating.
Yeah, so it's neat stuff.
What we should do in about 6 months' time, Michael, is use ChatGPT to change what you just said and say we don't need humans at all, and ChatGPT is fine.
Yeah, that's right.
In your voice.
Yeah. That's right. Yeah, well, we can do that. Actually, we should test that out with the ChatGPT after this call. How about like with images and video, like like more visual things? Like, is this going to be a thing?
Maybe. I think the place where Chat GPT could use images or be beneficial with images is sort of, to Mike's point, like that Zestimate or a rough draft of a home evaluation. If an AI can look at a series of data points, price and size and bedrooms and lot size and those kind of things, and come up with an evaluation, why can't it also then look at the images of the house that it's evaluating or comparable sales and say, these ones are more like the house and these other homes are less like the house in terms of level of renovation and style and things like that. So that's where I think the images could be interesting, where it's actually just being more context aware of, that one is closer than this other one, even though the specs might be the same.
Sure.
Yeah.
Right. I think from what I understand right now, Chat GPT 4 Plus, or like the paid version, you are able to now feed images into it. From what I understand, I think we have some playing around to do.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of it's a lot of experimentation.
Yeah.
Around it. What about risks? Like what? Where could AI be misused or really miss the mark, like you were saying before?
Okay, so I think what we're going to see, and I think we've already seen the first few lawsuits filed against AI. First of all, like, so it's kind of a general comment about AI. There are, I think, like larger media entities and creators that are looking to actually file lawsuits against like OpenAI, the Chat GPT kind of parent company, because they're essentially like the AI crawlers are just crawling information and essentially like poaching intellectual property across the web, and so I think that there is going to be there's going to be regulations, and I think some of the regulations are going to be driven partly by lawsuits, and I think it's going to be quite a large battle. And how does that like affect the real estate industry? I'm not sure, but it's going to. These are going to be like major lawsuits that are filed against like all of the AI engines or the main AI engines, that are truly crawling the internet. So I could see that being a huge problem that's going to disrupt the industry. I don't know right now off the top of my head. I don't think of have others. But Michael Stanty, what are your thoughts, Dan?
Well, I think maybe just circling back to the point we raised earlier about taking the output of a prompt and just using it.
Yeah.
So I think if you're careless with it, that's a misuse, and that would be a risk. At the very least, a reputational risk for an agent who just takes an AI generated whatever and plugs it into a listing without having gone back and checked it and made sure that it is in fact worthy of publication or putting it out into the world. If not, a more serious risk where AI inputs or rather outputs something that is just false and then thereby misleading. So that I think could then go beyond a reputational risk into an actual risk for somebody, like for a consumer, which is where so many agents run afoul of like RICA and get into hot waters if they make a representation about a property that's not accurate. Yeah, I think that could be a spot where there's a risk.
Yeah. Like I that's a great point. A few times where I've kind of like played around with a listing description and fed in like what I thought was like kind of enough relevant information, and it spits out like this beautiful West Hillhurst home with like a wonderful lakefront property or something. Where it's like where did you get that? Like anyways, and obviously, like, we're not going to put out anything that's like so egregiously wrong, but I am struck by like how confident what is put out, like it spits out something like, yeah, that's correct. And so like, you really have to take what is produced with a huge grain of salt with everything, like, frankly.
Yeah. I think that's probably the biggest risk, right? Is that unchecked correctness or incorrectness. If people aren't verifying that stuff. And so if there are tools made available to the public where information is being produced, and like let's say a home evaluation tool that is producing stuff and people are relying on that. We were saying earlier that you're not going to fool a buyer, you're not going to fool a seller, but some people want to believe in the big numbers and all that stuff. So some people could take a number like that and think if it's in just completely wrong, a little bungalow's worth several $1 million or something like that, it's wrong. You could get in some trouble with that. That's a risk. I think that's very low percentage of that happening, but who knows? And with that, I have to run. I have running around the city getting keys for possessions, and so that's all she wrote.
That's good. Okay, well,
bring it forward.
That's all, folks.
And for anyone who tunes in, if you have any comments about what you think AI might do in real estate or in the larger world, drop a comment and let us know. And
we're curious. We want to know.
Conversation's going.
That's right. And I guess like on the same theme of our topic, maybe we'll quickly if we can use AI to actually like break down and create text, a transcript, and break it down into topics, like of this actual little segment. Dan,
be an interesting experiment for this particular video.
YouTube later. We'll have a summary.
Yeah. All right, guys.
Okay. Have a great day, everyone.
Good luck. See ya.